All right, I'll do a reaction video, but this time I'm going to do a reaction video, and it's going to be on Pelosi and Schumer and this whole whatever you want to call it. I wanted to first say it was a facade, but I want to be as honest as possible so you can see exactly what they're doing. First of all, you need to understand they had this scripted, already written, already on a teleprompter, long before Trump even made his speech. Okay? So what was this? Trump needed to actually address a national security in order to actually close down what the Democrats are doing. And this way, when he tries to have the Democrats come in today, actually, and say, hey, let's take care of this, and they don't, then he can consider the border a national security, and he can have the military build it. They need to flip that narrative to say that that is all a fabricated issue. There was never a national security ever. It was just him trying to maintain a campaign promise. That's the only way that they can actually try to combat this, because they can't stop the president. They can't stop him from doing from building that wall. They cannot stop it. Once he actually calls for a national emergency, they can't stop it. So this is their attempt. This is why it was so important that they flipped the narrative immediately after the president spoke. Okay?
I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to the American people tonight about how we can end this shutdown and meet.
Okay, how we can end the shutdown. All right, they don't want to take the responsibility of the shutdown. Trump doesn't care. You want to call it his, you want to call it theirs, but they want to already put the narrative out there that it's not their fault, that they have come up with a bipartisan support for this. But we'll go over that in a second.
Needs of the American people. Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation.
Okay, so Nancy's already starting off with the exclusivity law, saying it's misinformation. She has nothing to back it up. Okay? But she's going to call it misinformation because you're going to believe her. You're going to, especially if you hate Trump, you're going to be like, oh, Trump's just lying because Nancy said so, because Chuck said so. It must be true. Okay? All right. Good.
And even malice. The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the fact.
No, it's more than just fear. These occurrences are happening, and he knows that they're already going to do another one. I told you before, back in June, that there was going to be a mass rush towards the border, and there was. And I knew there was going to be one before AMLO became president. And for those who don't know who AMLO is, he is the new president of Mexico, and that is just the acronym he goes by. His real name is Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Okay? But people just call him AMLO. Okay? But between his inauguration, which was December 1, and Peña Nieto leaving, it was a perfect opportunity to allow this caravan to come through, because Obrador could say, hey, I'm not the president yet. I don't have control. And Peña Nieto says, I'm leaving. I really don't have any control. So this allowed Soros and his gang of far left wingers to actually come in and try to penetrate our border. Okay?
The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government.
Yes, there was about 5 or 6 Republicans, and if there is even one, they will call it bipartisan. Okay, that's why it's so imperative that they have what we call rhinos that are actually instilled in the Republican Party. Okay, all right, that's why.
And fund smart, effective border security solutions. But the president...
Here's what they're saying. A week ago, Pelosi was saying it was immoral. That was her talking point. Immoral. Now they're talking about smart and effective. You can have all the drones you possibly want in the sky. But if you had seen all those people rushing the border and you don't have that control, you don't have that wall, that security, they'll just rush in. And because of the weak system and the weak laws they have, once they are on U.S. soil, we can't just kick them out. That's what they want. They just want a mass infiltration. Who freaking cares about drones? Who cares? Who cares? We just rushed in a bunch of people, and you can't do anything. Well, the drones picked them out of the sky. We knew they were coming, but you couldn't stop them. And that's exactly what they want. They need the open borders. The New World Order needs open borders in order to destroy America from within. And that's the whole purpose of this. And they have gone closer and closer towards that New World Order than ever before. And you can just tell because each of these Democrats used to vote for a border wall system or a border fence.
Rejecting these bipartisan bills which would reopen government over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall.
Wrong. First of all, it's not ineffective. Any place that there is a wall is not ineffective. Expensive, $5 billion in accordance to a United States government budget is nothing. But the amount of money they spend on these immigrants once they are in is hundreds of billions of dollars. That is effectively destroying our country from within.
A wall he always promised Mexico would pay for.
Now, that is something Trump always said on his, and I need people to understand that. He always said Mexico was going to pay for it. He never said how they were going to pay for it. The smart people, usually conservatives, would understand that Mexico wasn't going to write a fucking check. We knew. We had to read through that. We knew that Mexico wasn't going to pay. We also knew that Trump wasn't going to go to Mexico and go, hey, you're paying for the fucking wall. We knew he wasn't going to do that too. Okay? We knew it was going to be through his negotiations that he was going to end up indirectly having Mexico pay for the wall. Okay? They are using his campaign speech and saying, then have Mexico pay for the wall. Directly. Well, they're not going to pay for it directly. They're not going to pull out a check and give him $5.7 billion. Okay? But through the new agreement, which still hasn't passed Congress yet, the USMCA would effectively pay for the wall many times over again.
President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks.
There we go. She's going for. She's talking about all the people, the government employees that are not getting their check. She's going to use the sympathy method right now. Okay.
Of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans. He promised to keep government shut down for months.
Add the veterans part. Why did she add that? Because veterans are supposed to be in support of Trump, right? Many veterans are in support of Trump. So what she's trying to point out here, a nice little way of twisting it, is that, see, he really doesn't care about his veterans, does he? Yeah, he does. He really does. And the veterans who are actually in support of this wall understand sometimes they have to take a little bite in the ass in order to get what the actual outcome, especially when you have a resistance of a communist party known as the Democrats. They're communists now. They call themselves socialist Democrats. Sorry. Same thing. But this resistance group is looking to do everything they possibly can to regain power. That's their intention, 100% of the time. Okay?
Years, no matter whom it hurts, that's just plain wrong. The fact is, we all agree we need to secure our borders while honoring our values. We can build the infrastructure and roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to scan cars and trucks for drugs coming into our nation. We can hire the personnel we need to facilitate trade and immigration at the border. We can fund more innovation to detect unauthorized crossings. The fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that
upon thousands of people being directed by the Democrats, being directed by the Democrat activist groups or the Soros activist groups to rush the border. You don't have a caravan as big as that was at the U.S.-Mexico border unless it is not a contrived. It is not organic at all. It was organized, and it wasn't organic at all. It was done to try to see if they can enter our border, what Trump was going to do, so that they can come up and create their next move. That's why June, I knew that they were going to do this. Okay?
President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened. And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government.
These are the same people. I remember Jim Acosta yelling at the president, Mr. President, you know, you're manufacturing. Remember when he hit that the mic out of the lady's hand that was trying to take his mic, and we had the first what we call activist reporters. There was like 4 of them. They all were trying to yell at the president. Remember that? And Jim Acosta was one of them. And they're like, why are you lying to the American people about these poor people that are hundreds of miles away? Well, it turned out that the president was right. What did he say? He goes, why don't I be president and why don't you do what you do? Okay? In other words, he was telling Jim Acosta, back off, bozo. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. You're creating a talking point because that's what you're supposed to do as a far left-wing nut job, okay, who is working on behalf of the Soros Foundation, yeah, all right. So all these people are doing is going through talking points. That's all they're doing.
Thank you, Leader Schumer.
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. My fellow Americans.
His mouth. I always think Kazar.
We address you tonight for one reason only. The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary...
Did he? Did he? Did he fail?
...border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government. American democracy doesn't work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum. No president should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down, hurting millions of...
No. This is an actual case where he needs to pound the table and in order to get his way. And he needs to actually have an ace card. This is his ace card. And he's going to make the Democrats squirm because they realize this is a huge, major point on his campaign. And they don't want him to win this. No way, no how. Okay? And what will happen even when they start building the border? Do you think these Democrats will give up? There will be more activist groups than you can possibly imagine at the border. George Soros will fund hundreds of millions of dollars. The Democrats, you will have these far left-wing nut jobs. You will have social justice warriors. You have the LGBT there. You'll have Black Lives Matter there. You'll have DACA group. You'll have every single group that is controlled by the left down there, okay, trying to prevent a border wall going up. Oh, yeah. One thing about the left is they never give up. They have a mantra: we will lie, cheat, steal, defame, demean, degrade, deceive, maim, and or kill in order to win back power. It's all about power for them. Okay?
Americans who are treated as leverage. Tonight, and throughout this debate and throughout his presidency, President Trump has appealed to fear, not facts. Division, not unity.
Not his facts. He has actually gone through facts because we saw it on TV. We saw these people rushing the border. That's factual. Just because Obama was like, oh, why is he all upset because of these poor migrants that are thousands of miles away? Well, we knew what was really going to happen. So Obama could lie, Biden could lie, Schumer and Pelosi could lie, and all of these Democrats could lie, but we knew what was really going to happen. We knew it.
Make no mistake, Democrats and the president both want stronger border security. However, we sharply disagree with the president about the most effective way to do it. So, how do we untangle this mess? Well, there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border.
Then they would win. Then the Democrats would go, there's an obvious solution. You take away the ACE card that you have on us, take away your hands around our throat, and then we will actually talk to you. No, you won't. We're going to make sure we actually have the ACE card down. We have our hands around your throat. Now you'll sit down and freaking talk. And if not, we'll do another route in order to win. And we will watch you scramble continuously again.
For security. There is bipartisan legislation supported by Democrats and Republicans to reopen government.
Yes, there is. There are some people like that because now Murkowski, who's a rhino, Collins, a rhino. All these rhinos coming in, and they go, I love how they always talk about bipartisan support. They used to do the same thing whenever John McCain was in. John McCain, the biggest neocon who acted on behalf of George Soros, they would always sit there and say, we have bipartisan support. No, you have, or they would have Jeff Flake or something like that. One, Bipartisan to me is you have a pretty good, at least a third of the Republicans or the opposite party, okay? When you have one or two, that's not a true bipartisan support, okay? Get rid of the rhinos, get rid of the neocons, and who do you really have?
While allowing debate over border security to continue. There is no excuse for hurting millions of Americans.
Push down the road, and push down the road, and push down the road. You're damn right. In the meantime, George Soros would sit there and go, next caravan, please. And they would be hopping in, and they would sit there and go, the president is creating another scenario. These are poor migrants from Honduras and Venezuela and El Salvador and Guatemala. No. This is done to create an internal virus inside the United States. It's the only way that AMLO, who is a communist, can become a communist in his own country. It's the only way. You cannot have a president of the United States with an open border and you're going to try to run a communist government. Really? Good luck with that.
Over a policy difference. Federal workers are about to miss a paycheck. Some families can't get a mortgage to buy a new home. Farmers and small businesses won't get loans they desperately need. Most presidents have used Oval Office addresses for noble purposes. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration.
What he did was this. No, he didn't manufacture a crisis. What he did was he told everyone, in order for him to actually go to the military, he actually has to have addressed the nation and said this is a national crisis. So he's done that. Now what he's going to do is his final step. He's going to go to the Democrats, and he knows they're going to turn him down. And he's going to say, the Democrats have once again denied securing our border. We're going to make the military do this. Okay?
My fellow Americans, there is no challenge so great that our nation cannot rise to meet it. We can reopen the government and continue to work through disagreements over policy. We can secure our border without...
No, we cannot. Name one issue that the Democrats have ever agreed with the president on. Name one. I'll wait. And when we had Paul Ryan in there, one of the biggest rhinos there ever was. Okay? And you have McConnell, one of the biggest establishment monkeys there ever are. Okay? Seriously? No, cannot.
An ineffective, expensive wall, and we can welcome legal immigrants and refugees without...
That was expensive. $5.7 billion to protect our country was expensive, but sneaking $150 billion on an airplane to Iran, that was okay. Let's go over that again. Sneaking $150 billion onto airplanes and actually sending it to Iran, that wasn't approved by Congress. That's okay. But asking Congress for $5.6 or $5.7 billion, that's considered outrageously expensive.
Compromising safety and security. The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall. So our suggestion is a simple one. Mr. President, reopen the government and we can work to resolve our differences over border security, but end this shutdown now.
He loses all leverage if he does that. He also will lose his support, his American support. He knows he cannot back down. He can't. They know if he backs down, he's fucked for 2020. They're trying to do everything they can to get rid of this president.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for...
That is the analysis of Chuck and Nancy and and their immediate response after the president had given his Oval Office national security talk. Peace out, guys.